Hi, this is Joshua Stolman from BrooklynComicShop.com, and we're here to do a Marvel Legends custom, easy-to-do tips on how you can create both a Thing and a Human Torch in the 1960s Silver Age deco. And as you can see, the video isn't doing very well. It's going to be kind of spotty on this, but since I've already shot it and done it a couple of times, I can't redo the unveils. So I'm going to do this overdubbing so you can at least get the idea of what I'm talking about. What I'm showing you on the right is the Invisible Woman Walgreens exclusive. And on the left is the custom Thing that I did based off of the Super Skrull series Thing, which is a black, newer deco for the uniform. And what I've done is I've recolored it to match as best as I could the Invisible Woman paint job so that they can both be in their 1960s uniform. And I did this by both taping off the figure from below the shorts and above the waist, which was all black. And you can see this is the Walgreens Thing, the actual one from the 1960s, from the Walgreens wave. And you can see here he has a lot of gray overtones washed into the figure. The heads are different. The head on the Walgreens one is a more modern. The head on the one on the right, the custom one, is much more like John Byrne, which I really enjoy. There is a great thing on the Super Skrull one that I'm pointing to right now that shows some of the yellow highlights, which I like better than the black, darker highlights on the one on the left. And that's why actually I've decided to keep the one that I created, the custom one, 1960s one on the right, and we're actually going to be selling the Walgreens more valuable one. So I'm showing you right here how I taped off the figure, and you can see that it was taped off from below and above, and everything else was not touched. So it's a very easy level one. Custom, we used the Martha Stewart gloss, and I'm going to try to find where the name of the paint is. It's a French Riviera, and this is not an exact match. It's the best I could do. You can see the screen just went out, but when it comes back, we'll be able to show you the paint difference. You can see the Wonder Woman is a little bit deeper, darker. It's kind of mixed with a black, and it's a very difficult color to match. So sometimes the option is just to go either brighter or a little bit darker, depending on what options you have available. Now what I'm showing you is how the spray worked. The Marvel Legends figures, since I've tried them last about 5 or 6 years ago, have changed the way that they're constructed, and it makes it easier to paint. So you can actually get into all the hard areas that I was showing you just before. Now this is a more complicated custom, and it's the one that I chose to do. Why I decided to do both the Thing and the Human Torch is because I wanted to get the Human Torch in his human form, Johnny Storm, in the 1960s deco as well. And that was something that wasn't released ever. So it was something that a lot of people were doing by buying the Mr. Fantastic and doing a head swap with the Super Skrull Johnny Storm figure, where he's in his modern black uniform with blue highlights. So I basically took that figure, the modern one with the black costume and the blue highlights, and repainted it with the French Riviera Martha Stewart spray paint, and then taped off the areas for black that are going to make the highlights of the costume, which you can see starting to come together now. And what's great about the paint and the way that they're constructed is it really minimalizes the rubbing in the area, and we'll see that when we come back from this black screen. There you go. The paint is actually staying pretty adhered. It's not rubbing off to the painter's tape, which is a good thing. You can see that where I chose to make the boots come is actually right at a joint for the boot cut, so it looks very natural. It kind of fits together. I'm probably going to show that soon, where I rotate the boot and rotate the thigh. And you can see I've already painted the the black hands that will fit in to complete part of the figure as well. So here you can see where I'm pointing to the boots. That's where the joint is, and that's also where I chose to end the coloring, so it looks very natural. You can see up at the thigh joint that where I move it, you're going to see a little bit of black paint right at the top there. And that's just part of the repainting process. If you're bothered by it, you can try to go into it, but it never really bothered me, and frankly, you see that on regular Marvel Legends figures anyway. So now it looks like I'm going to go through remove the tape from the top, which is the more difficult paint deco, because it's going to go over a lot of moving parts. The shoulder blades and the rotating shoulder ball joint is probably the most difficult thing to paint and to keep painted. On these new Marvel Legends figures, I think that they've made it a lot easier by having the joints not so tight against each other, so if you were to put a layer of paint in between it, it wouldn't rub off as much. You're going to see that in some cases, probably the hardest part is that shoulder, and you'll see that it does do some rubbing, but really not a lot. So that's where I'm explaining the rotation and how there's not a lot of paint rubbing there. Now, if it comes off the front, you'll notice there's no Fantastic Four logo. I'll show you how I retained the original logo a little bit later on. Again, showing you the differences in the color here, and also eyeballing that collar, that black collar, came out pretty good. There you can see the rotation of the joints, and once we get this piece of tape off, we'll be able to take a better look at the figure in its entirety. You have to be very careful about removing tape, because sometimes it'll take some of the paint with it. So here we have the figure pretty much unveiled. All the tape is removed. You can see there's one little area of black that I missed that I'll have to go back and touch up with the paint. It's just one really quick overspray, and it should fill that area fine. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I'm going to go back and do it myself. There's the joints that I was telling you about that are the most difficult to get into because they do rub against plastic. You can sand it down a bit. This doesn't bother me because the main figure's colors are both black and blue, so having a black joint there is fine. So I'm going to show you how I retained the symbol, and it's very easy to do. All you have to do is take some rubber cement and pour it in several layers on top of each other, letting it dry in between, and that's going to create a barrier that the paint won't get through. So it should, and as you'll see, it should just come off pretty easily because it's just rubber cement. And there you go. So now the 4 is now there. You can go in and touch it up. You'll probably want to go in and use like a micron marker, a very thin marker to kind of outline the edge of the black to make that symbol stand out. I'm not going to do that here, but I just wanted to show you how I was able to at least preserve something very complicated like a logo symbol. So as I'm trying to get this figure to stand, I'm going to show you some of the other parts to make it a little bit more complete. And you can see I've already spray painted the regular hands black. The other parts came from the Super Skrull Johnny Storm figure, the new version that has the black costume with blue highlights. There's also some other parts that I have, and I don't know if these came with it or not. I wasn't really quite sure. So you have the flame-on hand and the flame-on punch. There's also some flames you can wrap around the arm, which I really like, and I'm showing you this flame ball, which I believe is really just a hobgoblin flaming pumpkin bomb. Now, I wanted to tell you that one of the reasons why I did this custom was because really the thing from the Walgreens wave is a $50 or $60 figure in itself. And to get another Reed Richards body to do a head swap, which would be the way you would want to do it, well, that's another $40 or $50. So getting these cheaper figures from the Super Skrull wave that was released, pretty widely and cheaply available is a really good way to get a quick custom that you can actually control a lot on. Here I use the flame on hand and then a powered off fist on the figure. And these flame effects, I really like to wrap up the arm because they kind of bridge that power on technique and kind of really make it look a little bit more natural. You can see the Invisible Woman has her kind of going invisible hand, so you can see her kind of using her powers, but still she's still where everything should be. It still looks pretty natural. And you can see the figure's pretty good. The head's on. All the pieces worked well together. You do have to be careful a little bit about the paint on the inside of the hands rubbing. It's not that big a deal here, and it didn't really prevent it from sliding into the wrist socket correctly. So here you have the full team together in their color. And I really want to thank you for watching. Enjoy and take a look at brooklyncomicsshop.com for other tips, and we'll see you later.